What's up everybody, another beautiful day in the Dragon House, and today we'll be taking a look at Enhancement Shaman's shiny new rework talent tree that they just conjured out of the blue. Now I will make a much more in-depth video about all the talent changes once all the sims and theory crafting is done, or closer to at least, as these changes impacts us a lot, and spoilers, it is pretty much all awesome stuff. Some poop in the corner, but overall 10 out of 10 would enhance again. So a few things have been moved around in our talent tree to open it up more, making different choices more readily available. Less cookie cutter, and yeah, overall we're just able to tailor our build even more if we need more single target, more AoE, 3 targets, 6 targets, etc, etc. But they've also reworked a few of our less than awesome talents to bring them up to par with other talents. I mean, I feel like this is some kind of bizarro world. Blizzard is actually buffing underperforming things rather than nerfing fun talents that might be slightly overperforming. What the? I am here for it though. Now, first out is the new talent slash choice node, Tempest Strike. So Tempest Strike, Storm Strike, Ice Strike, and Lava Lash has a nature damage proc to it, dealing a ton of damage scaled by mastery and to some degree wolfies. So it's pretty much a passive damage increase. However, for storm builds, and this is very much a storm talent, storm single target usually runs elemental blast, which means they lose out on a ton of static accumulation procs, which is when lightning bolt or chain lightning refunds all maelstrom spent on them. So being able to spend only on lightning bolt rather than elemental blast makes the rotation feel a lot better, since anytime you spend 10 maelstrom on elemental blast to reset your storm strike, you're down to no maelstrom. You have 0. So by only using lightning bolt, we naturally get a lot more static procs, which in turn also means more feral spirit CDR through witch doctor's ancestry, which just so happens also synergizes with tier 31, since feral spirit reduces primordial wave cooldown with it. Synergy. Now, like I said, this talent is a choice node with elemental blast, so it's either or, not both. Now on top of this, the node itself has been moved way up in the talent tree, making it a lot more available for any build that might want it. Now this greatly impacts Elementalist build, as it is now a lot easier to fit Elemental Blast into Cleave and M+ builds without losing other important talents, or as many. Now continuing on this, they've buffed Legacy of the Frost Witch and Elemental Assault. Now Legacy of the Frost Witch, it also increases frost damage done by 5 to 25%. Still a 2-pointer, but yeah, Frost Witch, good frost damage. Yeah. Now this talent was largely only used for its 1-point interaction, which was resetting storm strikes for storm builds. Now since Elementalist doesn't do the whole fist damage thing, and they don't give two shits about storm strike, bastards. However, the addition of frost damage means it impacts frost shocks, which are known to slap tremendously hard. And now, up to 25% harder. Ugh. Now this also flows pretty naturally as we spend Maelstrom to buff our Frost Shock, so more often than not you'll always have this buff up for your Frost Shock slaps. Now this also increases Elemental Blast damage since it is frosty damage. Currently though, it will only affect Elemental Blast if the proc is already up when you cast it. So if the proc isn't active, any casted Elemental Blast will not be affected by the damage increase. And this is possibly an oversight, or it's intended, but there is a chance it should instead buff Elemental Blast if it's either active or if that Elemental Blast procs it. Ya dig? Then we have Elemental Assault. Winna winna, Maelstrom for dinner. Now this is sadly not yet testable, so we'll just have to trust the blue post. So Elemental Assault now affects Lava Lash and Ice Strike as well, so yeah. At 2 points, all 3 of them will generate Maelstrom, which is just absolutely insane. That's unethical! Now this is of course very much a single target talent, but the sheer increase in Maelstrom generation we get from this is like tier 29 from Vault of the Incarnates on crack, with steroids. Especially for the Elementalist single target builds, and you could potentially put 1 or 2 points for M+ as well on like Tyrannical Weeks or things like that. So the single target rotation is gonna be smoother than a freshly shaved Volpera. And not to mention be a substantial DPS increase on top of that. Get more Maelstrom, reduce elemental Wolfie cooldown, get more primordial waves, fire off more elemental blast. Huge profit. But mostly for me it's the smooth part I'm after. I love elementalist build rotation, but anytime it's ever felt bad, made me sad. Worst I've ever had is when I'm Maelstrom starved. You hit a brief little streak of no Maelstrom generation and you sit there looking at everything on cooldown going like, well, no more. Rare as they may be, they be gone now. That being said, there are some sad news ahead. Cue the music. Splintered Elements no longer gives you 10% extra haste per target hit by lightning bolts. It now gives you 4% haste. But, and it's a big but, it now always gives you 20% haste plus the 4% per target. Now I know half of y'all are already shaking your fists at the screen. Unethical! But I'm here to ease your worries. With our current gear level, getting 60% haste pretty much caps us out, and any additional haste above that has very little value apart from making Flame Shock tick faster, which sure, it does a lot of damage, but it's not the sole contributor to your damage's enhancement. So getting like 60% haste from Primordial Wave, Splintered Element, and Bloodlust, or PI, Trinket proc, you name it, it kinda loses a lot, if not most of its value. So lowering the peak amount we can get is actually healthy and means when we do get those external buffs, we don't overcap, so we actually get more value from that. Now that being said, the more obvious upside of this change is that on single target, so raid fights and some M+ bosses, we always get 24% haste for 12 seconds. Bloodlust is 30% by the way. So with the new tier set bonus, we get a pseudo bloodlust every 24 seconds that lasts for 12 seconds on single targets, which to be fair, I'm very okay with. Now this also makes Splintered Element less of a feels bad talent on single target, as before it was 10%, which I mean sure is nice, but its true power was always AoE. Now it works both ways, and it's incredible for both AoE and single targets. Previously I really wanted a choice node here, so you'd take either Splintered Elements or a new talent that works for single target, but this change kind of fixes that in a brilliant way, I might add. So these are all, in my opinion, top tier changes. Funny thing is, I was saying in the enhancement Discord that I don't want or expect any changes for enhancement, because I couldn't see a lot of things that were in need of fixing. I go to bed and I wake up to this. I love the enhancement devs, like I didn't know I wanted half of this. The one thing I do want to mention though is Wind Fury Totem. Now it has been moved a few tiles in the tree, and even though this new tree has stuff I didn't even know I wanted and dared to ask for, it all conflicts with Wind Fury Totem, and a lot of the time Wind Fury Totem might not be worth running, depending on your comp, or even just straight up. Now this won't matter greatly on single target, but on AoE, the difference is a lot bigger, since Wind Fury Totem just isn't as good on AoE as it is for single target. Because on AoE, what we can gain DPS wise by not running Wind Fury Totem might outweigh what we give to a group or raid, and that is not good for a number of reasons. My main concern is that a lot of enhancement shamans might feel forced to run Wind Fury Totem just because raid demands it or M+ group demands it. It's a buff and therefore you should run it, even if it ends up actually being worse than flipping that point into something else. Because I mean, we're to my knowledge the only spec that has a buff they have to spec into, which also happens to only be group wide and take a class talent point if we want to be able to move it. I mean, it feels a bit nitpicky when everything else is so damn good, but Wind Fury Totem just feels bad right now, and DPS loss or not, it feels bad losing out on a talent like Sundering or Swirling Maelstrom for M+ Elementalist or Crash Lightning on a cleave fight. So I would really like to see a change to Wind Fury Totem. Make it baseline or something. Don't make me have to explain to my raid leader why it's better that I do more damage than buffing people with Wind Fury. Oh, you just want a pad! And like I said, a lot of talents have been shifted around to allow easier access to talents in different builds. Now I won't go over every single potential build, I'll save that for the future. But I will make a few showcase videos of the builds and full guides once I'm sure of what's going to be the play or not, since a lot can still change. But suffice to say, our options just expanded greatly. Spicy times ahead. And that's pretty much it for this first look at the talent tree rework for enhancement that they just announced for 10.2. Now, if you have any questions at all, hit me up in the comments. You can also become a patron or Twitch sub and get access to the Stankie Discord. You can also get shoutouts in videos and things like that. Don't forget the usual stuff, like, comment, subscribe, stormstrike that notification bell. And yeah, thank you all for watching. I will see you next time.